You can still buy convenience almost everywhere, but a lot of it is no longer worth what you are paying for it. That is what makes this easy to miss. Nothing looks obviously broken. Your food still shows up. Your subscriptions still renew. Your flight still takes off. The hotel still has a bed. The short stay rental still looks fine in the photos. On the surface, everything still works. But underneath a lot of everyday spending, the deal has changed. You are paying more for smaller gains, weaker quality, and less real relief than before. And because most of these purchases still feel normal, they slip through your budget without ever looking dramatic. That is the trap. A lot of expensive spending no longer feels expensive enough to question, even when the value has clearly weakened. So in this video, I want to give you a practical filter for judging which kinds of everyday convenience still earn their premium and which ones are now just expensive habits wearing a convenience label. This is not about cutting everything and pretending money should buy no ease at all. It is about getting clearer on when convenience is truly helping your life and when it is taking more from your monthly margin than it gives back. A lot of people frame this as an inflation story. And yes, prices have gone up. That part is real. But that is still not the full problem. A higher price does not automatically make something a bad purchase. If a service saves you meaningful time, makes a stressful week easier, prevents a worse outcome, or genuinely improves your day, it can still be a smart use of money. Paying more is not automatically the mistake. The mistake is continuing to judge these purchases by old assumptions. A lot of categories that used to feel like reasonable convenience buys have become much weaker deals. They cost more, they often deliver less, and yet people still treat them as harmless defaults. That is why this matters. The issue is not that everything feels expensive. The issue is that a lot of spending still feels justified long after the value stopped justifying it. So let's make this concrete. Here are 10 everyday spending categories that used to feel easier to defend, but now often do not earn their premium the way they once did. Before we get into the list, here's the standard. Convenience is supposed to buy you something real. It should save meaningful time, reduce real friction, or give you a clearly better experience. If it is not doing one of those things in a serious way, then you are probably not buying convenience anymore. You're just paying extra because the category still feels normal. That is the thread running through all 10 of these. Different products, same problem. The premium stayed, the value got weaker. Number 1, food delivery. Say the meal is $13.47. Then you add a $3.99 delivery fee, a $2.91 service fee, and a $4.12 tip. Suddenly, you are at $24.49. Now, sometimes that is still worth it if you are sick, buried in work, or genuinely cannot step away. Paying extra for food to appear at your door can be a smart trade, but most of the time, you are paying about $11 more to avoid a pickup trip or a short prep window. And the food usually arrives softer, colder, and less fresh than it would have if you handled it yourself. So the premium is real, but the improvement often is not. Number 2, bought lunch during the workday. A $12.62 bowl does not sound catastrophic. A $16 deli lunch feels manageable. A $20 lunch with coffee can feel like a completely normal weekday expense. The issue is not whether one lunch ruins your finances. The issue is whether this category still earns its place as a routine default. If bought lunch is giving you a meaningful break in a hard day, fine. But if it has become an automatic purchase that costs 4 or 5 times more than a prepared alternative and barely improves the day, then the premium has stopped doing enough work. This is where people get fooled. The price feels survivable. The frequency is what does the damage. Number 3, streaming subscriptions. One service is $13.47. Another is $9.99. Music is $10.99. Cloud storage is $2.99. That is $37.44 a month before you even get into sports packages, premium channels, or the random service you forgot you still had. And the psychology here is strong. Each charge feels small. Most of them are automated. The category hides behind the idea of access. But access is only useful if you use it enough for the cost to make sense. If you actively use 1 or 2 services and rarely touch the rest, then part of that money is not buying convenience. It is buying unused possibility. You are paying to keep doors open that you do not walk through. Again, survivable is not the standard. Value is the standard. Number 4, app subscriptions and micro subscriptions. This category is worse in some ways because it looks even smaller. Maybe it is $4.99 for one app, $6.99 for another, $11.99 for a premium tool, and some yearly plan you forgot to cancel because the charge only shows up once. Individually, none of these look serious, but they stack on top of the streaming stack, the cloud stack, the delivery stack, and everything else. And a lot of them are built on a weak promise: better focus, better organization, better convenience, better lifestyle management. Sometimes that promise is real. But often you are paying monthly for a solution to a problem that was never that serious in the first place, or for a habit you did not sustain long enough to justify the subscription. That is where the value slips. The product is not necessarily useless, it is just not useful enough often enough to deserve a permanent line in your budget. Number 5, airport food and drinks. Travel changes people's standards. A $6.89 bottle of water suddenly feels like part of the experience. An $18.47 meal feels annoying, but somehow normal. And because you are already in transit, already stressed, and already time compressed, you stop evaluating the trade the way you would anywhere else. Sometimes that premium is unavoidable. Fine. But a lot of airport spending is expensive mostly because it has a captive customer, not because it is genuinely delivering better value. The food is usually average, the convenience is limited. The experience is still inconvenient in every larger sense. You still wait, you still deal with delays, you still move through the same crowded system. You are just paying more inside it. That is an important distinction. Paying more in a constrained environment is not automatically the same thing as buying a better experience. Number 6, seat selection and travel add-ons. This is where convenience starts getting sold in smaller and smaller pieces. Extra legroom, early boarding, seat selection, faster lane access, small bundle upgrades that each seem tolerable on their own, and sometimes they are worth it. If you are tall, traveling with family, or trying to reduce real physical discomfort, these purchases can be completely reasonable. But a lot of people are not buying real improvement here. They are buying anxiety relief, uncertainty relief, or the feeling of having optimized the trip. And when the experience barely changes, that premium becomes hard to defend. This is the broader issue with add-on culture. It keeps slicing ordinary functionality into extra purchases and calling each slice convenience. Number 7, short stay rentals with heavy fees. This category changed a lot. What used to feel like a cheaper, more flexible alternative to a hotel now often behaves like a premium-priced option without a clearly premium outcome. A place that looks like a $295 stay can become $530 once cleaning fees, service fees, taxes, and other charges show up. For longer stays or group travel, that may still work. But for short stays especially, the math often stops making sense very quickly. This is not about saying hotels are always better. It is about asking whether the category still earns the story it sells. If the appeal is supposed to be flexibility, local feel, and value, then huge fee stacks with ordinary quality start breaking that story. At that point, you are not paying for a clever travel workaround anymore. You are paying premium money for a version of fine. Number 8, rental cars. This one is brutal because it used to feel like a supporting travel expense and now can feel like a second hotel bill. The base rate jumps, then the airport location pushes it up more. Then there are taxes, surcharges, and all the little layers that turn a manageable category into a major budget event. And that is before you get into the convenience upsells at the counter. Again, sometimes you need the car. That is not the point. The point is that the category is no longer behaving like a small helper in the trip. It is behaving like a major financial decision inside the trip. And once a category reaches that point, it should stop being treated casually. If it changes the economics of the whole trip, it deserves a much harder evaluation than I guess this is just what it costs. Number 9, extended warranties on ordinary purchases. Retailers love these because the math usually works far better for them than for you. And they show up everywhere now. A $50 appliance, a device accessory, a home item, a small tool, something that is not expensive enough to justify much thought, but is apparently expensive enough to need protection. That is exactly why they work. You are being sold peace of mind on products where the expected value often is not on your side. And even when the warranty is technically available, a lot of people forget they bought it, never use it, or run into enough friction in the claim process that the protection feels much weaker than it sounded at checkout. That does not mean an extended warranty is always bad. On some expensive, failure-prone items, it can make sense. But on a lot of ordinary purchases, this is one more example of paying a premium for the feeling of safety rather than for meaningful value. Number 10. Convenience retail markups and last-minute purchases. This is the class of spending that includes overpriced pharmacy runs, tiny grocery stops, gas station basics, and all the "I'll just grab it here" purchases that seem too small to analyze. And that is exactly why they matter. When you repeatedly pay premium prices for ordinary items just because it is easier in the moment, you build a habit of overpaying for low-friction access, not because the product is better, not because the service is special, just because the timing is slightly easier. A drink, a charger, a snack, paper goods, toiletries, household basics, none of these purchases feels important enough to remember, but together they teach the same lesson as everything else on this list. Convenience keeps getting sold at a stronger premium than the experience deserves. Now step back from the 10 categories: food delivery, work lunch, streaming, app subscriptions, airport pricing, travel add-ons, short stay rentals, rental cars, extended warranties, last-minute convenience markups. These are not the same product, but they are following the same economic pattern. You are paying a premium on something normal, and the return on that premium has shrunk. That is what makes this video useful. It is not really about banning categories. It is about updating your standards. A lot of people still judge these purchases using an older mental model. They remember when delivery felt like a reasonable splurge, when subscriptions were few and useful, when short-stay rentals often felt like the smart budget move, when airport spending felt annoying but limited, and when rental cars felt expensive but manageable. But once the category changes, your standard has to change with it. So here is the filter. Whenever you are about to pay for convenience, ask 3 things. First, what is this premium actually buying me? Time, stress reduction, better quality, more control, or just the feeling of avoiding a small hassle? Second, how meaningful is that benefit in real life? Not in theory, not in the old version of the category, today in this actual purchase. And third, is this still worth making routine, or has it become something that only makes sense occasionally? That last question is where a lot of clarity comes from. A purchase can be perfectly reasonable once in a while and still be a weak default. That is the mistake many people make with categories like delivery, bought lunch, airport spend, or subscriptions. The category is not outrageous enough to reject completely, but it is not strong enough to deserve automatic repetition either. So you do not need to remove convenience from your life. You need to stop granting it a permanent pass. Keep the versions that save serious time, reduce real stress, or noticeably improve your day. Be much more skeptical of the ones that are mostly selling familiarity, automation, or a weak sense of ease at a stronger and stronger price. Convenience is still one of the best things money can buy when it is doing real work. But in 2026, a lot of everyday convenience is no longer earning the premium it asks for. That is the point. The danger is not that these categories exist. The danger is that they still feel normal long after the value got worse. And that matters because when you keep paying more for weaker relief, weaker quality, and smaller gains, the thing you lose is not just money. It is room. Room in your budget, room in your month, room to use your money more intentionally instead of watching it get absorbed by categories that no longer deserve default status. So the goal is not to become rigid or joyless, it is to get more precise. Let convenience stay in your life, just make it earn its place again. And if one of these 10 stood out, start there and let me know in the comment what you chose. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.